Have you ever felt, well, just stuck? Maybe worried for weeks about a presentation, or just held back by that little nagging voice of insecurity. We all tend to think our feelings, fear, frustration, anxiety, come from the world around us. Our job, our circumstances, other people. But what if the source is actually much, much closer to home? What if it's all happening inside our own minds? Let's dig into that. So this really is the big question we're tackling today. For years, I was completely convinced my fear of public speaking came from the audience. I truly believed they had the power to make me feel nervous. But here's the kind of radical idea we're going to unpack. The truth is, our experience of life is created entirely from the inside out.
Okay, to really get this, let's use a simple analogy. Think about going to the movies. Your mind, it's like the projector. It's the raw power, the life force within you. Without that projector light, you're just sitting in a dark, empty room, right? Absolutely nothing happens.
Now, what about the movie itself? Well, your thoughts are the film running through that projector. They provide the images, the sounds, the story, the whole shebang. Without that film, you just have a bright, blank light on the wall. So it's your thoughts that are creating the content of your reality moment by moment by moment.
And finally, your consciousness is the screen. It's the awareness that makes all those projected thoughts feel real. So real you could reach out and touch them. Without the screen, you just have a light flashing around in the dark. It's the combination of all three, mind, thought, and consciousness, that creates this vivid, emotional, cinematic experience we call life.
So this brings us to what's known as the inside-out paradigm. And what it means is that we aren't actually experiencing reality directly. Not at all. We're experiencing our thinking about reality, which gets projected onto the screen of our consciousness. And realizing this is incredibly empowering because it shows you that life is something you're actively creating. And hey, if you're the one creating your own reality, why not create a great one?
This quote you see here is absolutely crucial. Think of your feelings as a direct feedback system for the quality of your thoughts. It's like a weather report for your mind. So if you're thinking about how much you're dreading a meeting, you feel anxious. If you're thinking about a fun plan for the weekend, you feel excited. Your feelings aren't telling you about the meeting or the weekend itself. They're telling you about your thinking in that very moment.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. How this all plays out inside our own heads. We all have these internal voices, right? And they often seem to be in a total conflict. So let's frame this as a battle between two key players, an inner journalist and an inner coach. On one side, you've got the inner journalist. This voice is often critical, sarcastic, and it just loves to create a dramatic story. It takes something that happened in the past and goes, "See, you're terrible. You'll never be able to do this." It keeps you completely stuck. But then, on the other side, you have the inner coach. This voice is strategic. It helps you identify your goals, figure out the systems and habits you need, and it keeps you focused on the future. Now, those negative stories from our inner journalist often build what the source material calls the 3 pillars of depression. This idea suggests that these feelings come from our relationship with a set of internal rules we have for ourselves and the world. For instance, when we look to the past and feel like we broke one of our own rules, we experience things like guilt or shame. In the present, when someone else breaks a rule we hold dear, we feel frustration and anger. And when we look to the future and we feel like we don't even know what the rules are, that's where anxiety and worry come from. So if our negative feelings are just thoughts, how do we actually deal with them? Well, this brings us to a super simple toolkit for diagnosing any upset. It turns out that whenever you're feeling down, the cause can almost always be traced back to one of 3 specific sources. And here they are. First, a thwarted intention. You plan to go for a run, but then it starts pouring rain. Second, an unrealized expectation. You thought you were going to get that promotion, but it didn't happen. And third, an undelivered communication. There's something you really need to say to a friend, but you're just holding it in. The source argues that pretty much every single upset falls into one of these 3 categories.
Let's zoom in on unrealized expectations, because this one is a biggie. It's what we can call a reality-thought mismatch. Think about it like the difference between a menu and the meal at a restaurant. The menu is just words and pictures. It's your expectation. The meal is what actually shows up on your plate. That's reality. Your disappointment doesn't actually exist in the meal itself. It exists entirely in your mind, in that gap between the menu and the meal.
Okay, so once we can diagnose our upsets, we can actually move beyond them. And this isn't about dwelling on the past. Not at all. It's about creating a new possibility. It's about consciously deciding to live into the future you want, rather than living from a past that's already over and done with.
The crucial point here is so simple, but it's really profound. The past is over, and the future hasn't happened yet. All we truly have is this present moment. So instead of letting old stories dictate what's possible for us, we can use this moment, right now, to consciously choose and create something totally new for ourselves.
And here's an example from the source material that just made this click for me. For years, a man named Steve Dickinson saw himself as meek and timid, completely held back by his past. But through some really intensive training, he created a new possibility for himself. He declared, "I am the possibility of courage, strength, and self-expression." And this wasn't about faking it. It was a declaration of who he was choosing to be from that moment forward. And this is the real power of creating a possibility. As he just focused on being courageous, strong, and self-expressed, he simply forgot the old story about the timid person he thought he was. That old story only ever existed in his mind, and by creating a new one, he was able to just let it go. So, what does this all boil down to? When you truly get that your entire experience is created by thought, you realize something absolutely incredible. You are always only one thought away from a new reality, a completely different experience of being alive. Happiness, peace of mind, confidence. It's not something you have to go out and earn or find in the world. It's available to you right here, right now, with just a simple shift in your thinking.
So I'll leave you with this question. You can create a new possibility for yourself in the next hour for a specific project or for the rest of your life. It's not about who you've been, it's about who you choose to be starting right now. So, what possibility will you create?